Hello and welcome to Deep Dive. My guest today on Deep Dive is Mr. PR Hari, who is the Chairman and Managing Director at Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers. Commodore Hari, thank you very much for joining us on ET Now. To begin with, sir, we have seen a slew of measures coming in from the government as part of the maritime policy to make India a shipbuilding hub. How do you see the transition for the traditional shipbuilders in India?
These initiatives have been on the anvil for the last few years, and the formal policy directives came during the last year. And the aim of the government is very, very clear that to make India one of the top five shipbuilding nations of the world by 2047 and a top 10 nations by 2030. Both this is in line with the Maritime India vision as well as the Maritime Amritkal vision. So the vision is clear, but the task is very, very challenging because currently our contribution towards global shipbuilding is in 0.6 to 0.7%, which is similarly low. And that is the reason why government has formulated a slew of initiatives revolving around a shipbuilding revitalization scheme, which the fund allocation has been to the tune of nearly 69,000 odd crores, nearly 70,000 crores, which is a substantial amount. And currently, these schemes are valid for the next 10 years, I understand, till 2036. This revolves around four pillars. There is a shipbuilding financial assistance policy, which has already been implemented. Now the version 2 has come out, and all of us shipbuilders are currently utilizing this policy. And it is a very effective means of subsidizing the cost of construction to match with what is available in some of the global leading nations like China or Korea. Second is the shipbuilding development scheme, which encourages creation of new facilities. Again, all the shipyards, big and small in India, are effectively utilizing this. Even GRSE has already applied for the scheme. We are very confident that we'll be able to get a chunk of the funds allocated for the scheme. The third part is the Maritime Development Fund for creation of clusters, that is maritime clusters. They've identified few states and areas where these clusters will be developed. And the last part is skill development. And one of these schemes also have this interest incentivization policy, which is very, very useful. And we, as a shipbuilder, one of the major shipbuilders of the country, we intend utilizing this because we need a certain amount of debt for the capex projects that are coming in. Now, again, to give you a background, in India, there are about six large shipyards, about 10 medium to small shipyards, and a large number of very small shipbuilders, total coming to less than 60. Now, the demand what is existing from both the defense and the non-defense segment, if you take domestic alone, is phenomenally huge. It is mammoth kind of demand that exists. And what is interesting is that there is absolute clarity on this demand. What is going to come in the next 2 years, the next 5 years, and the next 10 years. But the current capacity, the consolidated capacity, is grossly inadequate to meet the demand. And that is why all the shipyards put together, if I take small, big, medium, all put together, the capacity is grossly adequate to meet this demand that exists. That is the reason why all the shipyards are now utilizing these government initiatives to ramp up their production capacity. So this in a nutshell gives you what exists and what is required.
Commodore, you spoke about the fact that we are looking at becoming at least a top 10 shipbuilder country in the next 4 to 5 years, and maybe among the top five by 2047. To reach that destination, what is the kind of addition to shipbuilding capacity that is required in India, and the kind of investment that would be needed from companies like you and private sector? Because while the government is supporting you with respect to subsidizing it, interest is also getting subsidized. The capex has to come in from the companies. So how are we looking at the capex? What kind of capex is required for this?
Okay, I will, if I put it in a single sentence with respect to what you had asked the question as to what is the kind of capacity, it has to be ramped up at least by 4x, at least 4x to meet the demand as well as the aspirations of our nation. Now the capex infusion. Now let me take my company, GRSE. Currently, we have a shipbuilding capacity. We have 4 shipyards in Kolkata, uh, major facilities, plus 2 small facilities which are across the river where we do ship repairs. Now, the current shipbuilding capacity for us is for concurrent construction of 28 platforms, medium and large put together. Now, with the ongoing modernization that we are doing in our existing facilities, we intend ramping up this capacity to 32 ships by the end of this year. But as we just discussed, this is just inadequate to meet the demand that exists. So we are going in for 2 major modernizations, apart from the minor revitalization that we are what is ongoing. One setting up of a greenfield facility in West Bengal, much closer towards the sea. Why I'm telling much closer towards the sea and making a statement is that that will obviate the current limitations that we have. We are a riverine shipyard, and if it is much closer to the sea, the draft restrictions will be minimized, and the bends in the river can be avoided, so that the large platforms can be built there. Here, the capex requirement is to the tune of around 2,500 crores. Similarly, we are setting up a greenfield facility in Gujarat that will be a total ship solution facility. When I say total ship solutions, I just want to again hype the fact that total ship solutions, because there, under a single roof, we would have shipbuilding, green ship recycling, and ship repairs, and that perhaps is the only facility of that would be the only facility of its kind in Asia, at least Asia, as far as I know. I'm not sure about the global availability of all these 3 facilities under a single roof. Here, the capex infusion is to the tune of around 2,000 plus crores. So total requirement is about 4,500 crores spread over the next 3 to 5 years. And here, naturally, as a company, we have certain from our reserves, we will infuse from our internal revenue funds, and we would take debts. The exact proportion of debt to internal accruals, we are yet to take a call. And here we intend utilizing the interest incentivization policy of the government to the hilt, where we get a 3% subsidy on the debt taken for shipbuilding development schemes, initiatives, and also tap the subsidy, the 25% subsidy on capex that we get. So it is interesting. And this template can be applied across the major shipyards in India, where I expect similar kind of initiatives by all the shipyards. Some of them already stated it, some of them are still in liquid form. We also have a very interesting development, which you are already aware, that one of the foreign South Korean firms have expressed their intent to set up a greenfield facility in Tamil Nadu. This again is a good initiative, because when they come, one is employment generation, but they're also bringing in advanced technology in shipbuilding, which will be good for the entire ecosystem.
Give us a sense, you said 4,000 odd crores of capex which is coming in, but you also told me that, what we need to reach is 4x. So you have somewhere around 28 concurrent shipbuilding capacity. Will you be able to reach 100 plus with this kind of capex, or this is a gradual phase manner increase which you're looking at?
When I said 4x was what I meant was the overall capacity of all the 57 to 60 shipyards in India. If you take the large shipyards already have inherent capacity. So in our case, what is our limitation? Our limitation is the riverine nature of our shipyard, so draft restrictions and the displacement restrictions. Once that bottleneck is removed, then the numbers don't matter, is the size that matters. Once we develop these facilities, we'll be able to build ships out of Aframax, Panamax, and VLGCs and VLCCs. So that is the opening that we would get through creation of these facilities. When I said again, I would like to reiterate that when I said 4x, that is the overall capacity. So when somebody like X shipyard setting up a pure greenfield facility in one of the shipbuilding clusters that are earmarked, the capacity will get ramped up automatically.
Hmm. Give me a sense of the kind of advantage disadvantage we are at the point from a commercial shipbuilding point of view, because the government is trying to incentivize the shipbuilders to be competitive globally, and that which basically means that you have to bid on pricing points, delivery timelines, and everything, and the cost of funds is something which the government is willing to give you a interest subvention of 3% in that sense. When you today when you look at or when you go out building bidding for commercial ship building, what is the kind of arbitrage which is there, or how expensive are we today, and how what is the kind of pathway we have to go to that level of price competitiveness?
Okay, yeah, the current, since you asked me, what is the difference between the other global shipyards and Indian shipyards? There are three limitations currently that exist. One is the pure capacity, physical capacity. Second, which, as I mentioned, some of us already obviated through certain measures and it will further improve. Second is the capability. A few classes of ships, for example, for construction of a Arctic class ship or icebreaker ship, India today does not have the capacity. So to nurture and garner that capacity, we need to first collaborate with foreign partners who have got proven demonstrated performance, which action is already in hand. Because when, for example, I'm just giving you an example to highlight my point. India needs a polar research vessel. Polar research vessel has to have an icebreaker type of construction. It's an ice class, Arctic class vessel. India today does not have that capability. The ministry which is steering this project has made it mandatory that the ship is built in India. If the ship has to be built in India, the Indian shipyard, whoever is undertaking, has to have a collaboration with the foreign shipyard. The moment that happens, we are bringing in that technology and gathering that experience. So second, one is capacity. And this can be, the template can be replicated on certain platforms. I'll give you one more example to highlight this. Shipping Corporation of India has recently come out with a tender for very large gas carriers. India does not have this capacity for construction, capability, sorry, of constructing this ship today. So in the tender itself, SCA has very clearly brought out that we should, it's an 8-ship project. 2 ships have to be built in a shipyard abroad who have got proven capacity and capability, and the balance ships are to be built in India. It's a very beautifully structured process where we are bringing in technology and capability to India. This is the second point. And third, of course, and the most interesting point which is getting addressed is the cost. Now, China and Korea have already set good, bad, ugly, but they already set a benchmark of costing. The costing is low. But why costing is low? Because the labor is not only cheap in India, it's also cheap in China. Second, the subsidies which are given are very high as compared to what is being given even in India. So this cost difference was there. Then why are the European and Middle East orders coming to us? It is not because they want to come to us for any other reason. It is purely because China had blocked out these orders because their capacity is saturated. That is the reason why now they are looking at India and Turkey, and they prefer India because we can match the cost expectations of them and the quality expectations of them. So the second part is cost. We had discussed about interest incentivization policy. Keeping that apart, that is actually for shipbuilding development schemes. There is another scheme which is live, is the shipbuilding financial assistance. It is a very interesting scheme, very effective scheme, and the intent of that scheme is to offset the cost gap between what we have and what China or Korea has. And it has been effective. And that is the reason why these European guys are coming to us today for shipbuilding. And not only my shipyard, I am currently executing a project for a German client. More orders are on the anvil and more inquiries are active and live. And so is the case with almost all the big Indian shipyards, be it Cochin Shipyard, be it Mazagans, be it Goa, or be it Chogle or L&T.
In association with LIC, हर पल आपके साथ.
In association with AU Small Finance Bank.
The world is yours.
ब्रो
इन्वेस्टिंग के लिए इंटेलिजेंट बनना है तो
Stock tutorials, market training, influencer advice, educational videos.
ब्रो इन्वेस्टिंग के लिए तेरा ऐप इंटेलिजेंट होना चाहिए. ट्रेडिंग सिग्नल, स्मार्ट डिस्कवरी, सिक्योर एग्जिट, आस्क एंजल.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
Move. The possibilities are endless. The future is bright. Move that mountain. Chase that dream. Future engineers, lawyers, scientists, journalists, and more.
What happens when the game changes? You keep moving. You keep slaying. Keep celebrating. And if they keep talking,
keep them talking.
Because no matter how far you've come, you keep walking.
You know, interesting. You gave a very good perspective of the industry coming, how it's shaping up, or where the direction of the industry. Can you also give us a perspective on the demand expected for these ships, from a point of view, which class of ships will have the highest demand, followed by which are the other classes of ships which are there? Of course, last 3-4 months or 6 months, we've seen the geopolitical risk which is coming in, requiring a lot of ships for your energy requirements. That's something which you also mentioned about it, the very large gas carriers and others. But going forward, shipbuilding is also about forecasting of maybe 5-10 years, because each ship will take 3 to 5 years to be delivered. So how do you look at the demand, and which class of ships will be in focus at that point in time?
I'll split it into, if I may, I'll split it into 3 buckets. One is the clear and visible demand from defense shipbuilding. This is huge because both the Navy and the Coast Guard have got very, very clear and stated expansion plans. Just to put things in perspective, the tenders from Navy and Coast Guard which are live today, 5 of them, the P-17 Bravo, the 120 fast interceptor craft, 22 IB interceptor boats, then 6, I think we lost you for a second. Yeah, 6 offshore patrol vessels and 31 waterjet FACs. The order value, the AON value itself, which is a tune of around 81,000 crores. And we expect 2 more RFPs to come out during this year, the landing platform docks, and 4 of them, and this project of mine countermeasure vessels, 12 of them. Their AON value is about 71,000 crores. This chunk itself is about 1,55,000 crores. Keep the aircraft carrier and the next generation destroyer and the P-75 by India submarines away from this. That value is staggeringly high. This is the first bucket, that is the defense manufacturing. The second is the demand from non-defense sector in India, that is domestic. This again comprises of 2 chunks. One is there's a huge requirement of research vessels for India, because this is an area where the Indian government is focusing. And interestingly, we are currently executing a 4-ship project, 4-ship for various research organizations in India. And I see huge opportunity in this segment. I would not peg an exact order value to this, because at this juncture, clarity is not there. The second is the demand that is coming from the public sector, only public sector, where the Ministry of Shipping, Ports and Waterways have aggregated the demand, and their initial aggregation itself was 200 plus platforms. This they had done last year, and that is that aggregated list which is now getting translated into RFPs and orders. So here,
how big is that in that sense?
RFPs.
How big will be that in terms of the 200 ships or 200 platforms which is coming from the public sector alone?
This will be about 1,20,000 crores. This is again purely an estimate. It depends upon, it's a mix of large, small and medium-sized platforms. Just to give an example, that ONGC had come out. This is now being steered by SCA, but before this, the structure became live. ONGC had come out with a tender for 4 platform support vessels, which we won. Perhaps that is the first order from this aggregated list that has been translated from a list to an RFP to an LOI. So, which is a good news for us. So, I expect this volume to ramp up. And the third bucket is the export orders. Now, India has to take a call, or the Indian shipyards have to take a call. Do we meet the domestic demand or do we go for export platform? Because the value of these contracts is almost similar. So this is a call which we have to take. We will do so in the coming months and years as things crystallize.
So you're saying that you have enough demand coming from domestic market itself, and looking out will be a tough thing. But the government wants to make India as a shipbuilding hub for global markets. So the point is that you need to have investment over and above what you are currently doing to meet the domestic demand itself. Do you see enough players and the financial strength with many of the players? In the past we have seen that shipbuilding has gone through various cycles, which is at sometimes it's been very painful, with many going into the NCLT as well. So my point is that how secure or how healthy are the balance sheets for many companies? No, I'm not talking about the PSUs here, but the private sector has to scale up multifold to reach at least the PSU level. So what is the kind of balance sheet strength that you see as an industry player?
It's a very interesting question. Shipbuilding, that cycle of the peaks and valleys. But this is one spike that we expect to last for the next 15 years at least, because unlike any other situation in the past, this is the first time where the demands have been very, very clearly spelled. Right now I'm speaking about the Indian market. And again, based on the last spike, which was in shipbuilding, the ships which were built, the commercial ships were built across the globe, most of them are old now. They mandate replacement. So the global demand, I'm talking about the export, as far as India is concerned, the export opportunities are also going to be phenomenal. So I again get back to the first statement which I made based on a question which you asked as to what is the capacity augmentation that we require. Definitely at least 4x. It will take time, because when we say shipbuilding capacity augmentation, it's not something which can happen overnight or over a year. It takes a finite amount of time, 3 to 5 years for this capex to be infused, the facilities to be created. But the good point is the visibility is well beyond 5 years. The 5 years is good enough to meet the incubation period of 5 years. The current existing capacity of shipyards will be able to meet, and thereafter, based on the ramped up capacity, we will be able to meet the vision of our nation, that is Make in India, Make for the World, by tapping the export opportunities also.
Two key things that come into play here is one, this is a labor intensive industry. How automated that you can make this industry, because the moment you make it more automated, the execution timelines crunch and you are able to deliver the ships much faster. So how easy it is to do that? How are shipbuilders like you looking at it from that point of view?
As you rightly said, shipbuilding, unlike any other manufacturing sector, is heavily labor intensive. But having said that, while employment generation is a positive outcome of companies like us, big companies like us, there is a absolute imperative to go in for automation. We already started the process. Many of our shipbuilding processes are automated. We employ robotics. Most of the machines here are top-end machines, robotics, not only in shipbuilding, but also in my other business vertical of portable steel bridges, that's the Bailey bridges. So there is a definite need for automation. And all the shipbuilders in India are geared up for this. What is interesting is that the new facility, I'm just giving one example of that facility, which one of the Korean shipyards is likely to set up in India. That will be a top-end facility, which will have automation to the best extent that is being used in the best shipyards in the globe. And all of us, all the Indian shipyards definitely can take a leaf out of this kind of initiative. And